Pretty much everybody today streams music. Statistics from 2022 tell us that 84% of the music industry's revenue comes from streaming. Whether you're a Spotify, Apple Music, or Tidal kind of person, chances are you have one of these apps on your phone. Or at the very least, you have YouTube, because you're watching this. But it wasn't always like this. Before the rise of streaming services in the 2010s, people had to download music, either by buying it legally through sites like iTunes, or more dubious methods like torrenting or using a program like LimeWire. Any 90s babies on here likely remember booting up LimeWire, looking for that new Nelly single, only to download it and find out it was the Barney theme song. The internet was kind of the Wild West back then when it came to getting your music. Once you got it, you'd load it up onto your iPod or your Zune or whatever MP3 player you had. The most popular sites for downloading music illegally are long gone today. Napster rose to fame in 1999 when people realized how easy it was to download music on the internet. By 2001, the company was shut down and had to file for bankruptcy after all the lawsuits it got from artists who were mad that their music was available for free on their platform. Not every artist was happy about the shutdown of Napster. In fact, in a roundabout way, it ended up helping some artists' sales. Radiohead, for an example, was a band that hadn't seen that much commercial success in the United States. When their now beloved album Kid A leaked onto the internet on Napster, a month before it came out, it surged to a popularity that the band had not seen yet before. When it came out in stores for real a month later, it hit the #1 spot on the Billboard charts. Even though people had the music downloaded already, plenty of them were happy to go buy the CD, perhaps to play in their car or their portable CD player. After all, Kid A came out in 2000 and the iPod wasn't revealed until 2001. While MP3 players were around, many people still listen to music on CD, even if they had a computer at home to download music on. Regardless, the heyday of internet music piracy waned. LimeWire became less and less popular before it shut down in 2010. It came back in 2022 as an NFT marketplace, and now it appears to be some kind of AI art studio. So clearly they're just going with whatever's hot right now. Best of luck to them. The founders of the Pirate Bay, one of the most popular torrenting sites, were sentenced to prison time in Sweden in 2009. So over the course of the 2000s, we saw the popularity of music piracy as we knew it pretty much drop off the face of the earth. The decline of illegal music downloading left a wide open hole in the industry. Sites like MySpace and YouTube filled that gap for a couple years in the mid-2000s, but it wasn't quite the same. Music industry executives and entrepreneurs both started asking themselves, how can we take the feeling that the consumer loved about the internet piracy sites, but make it legal and fair? It wasn't long before two Swedish guys came up with what they thought was the solution. But before we get into that, if you could throw me a like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, I post all of my videos a day early on my Instagram broadcast channel, so go follow me over there at HADJI. One day I might have a Patreon, but right now I'm giving it away for free, so take advantage of that. Also, if you're in Seattle or Portland, I'm going on tour with Shy High, February 10th in Seattle, February 11th in Portland. Would love to see you guys there. Alright, back to the video. In 2006, Daniel Ek and Martin Lorentzen officially launched Spotify. It began as a free service supported by ads, but they went on to add a paid tier that has unlimited streaming with no commercials. So the way Spotify works is, they use their ad revenue and user subscription fees to pay out 70% of their total revenue to the rights holders of the music that's being streamed. This breaks down to some crazy fraction of a cent per stream, and it's a very complex system that, for the sake of this video, we're not really going to get into. It even depends on what country you live in and what kind of account you have. It's actually pretty complex. By the early 2010s, they expanded into the UK and the United States, and the company's popularity exploded. The idea of being able to have every song that you ever wanted at your fingertips was revolutionary, especially to people who were used to culling and pruning their downloaded music collection to fit whatever space they had on their iPod. Of course, other companies saw the potential in this business model. Apple launched their competitor Apple Music in 2015. Tidal was originally launched in 2014, but Jay-Z bought the company in 2015 and then relaunched it with an infamous event that had a bunch of legendary artists like Kanye West, Rihanna, and Beyonce on the stage with Jay-Z. One of the biggest selling points of these streaming services is that they're supposed to fix the problem of music piracy. After being used to downloading music on the internet for free, it was really hard to get the consumer to go back to buying CDs or even paying per album online. Convincing someone to spend $10 every single time they want to hear an album is a lot harder than convincing them to spend $10 once a month to listen to everything that they want. At the same time, now artists are getting paid per listen, so they should be happier than when people were just downloading their music on the internet, right? So all should be good, and the pirates should have set sail for another industry, right? Not exactly. It may look different, but there are pirates thriving on the seas of internet music today. The definition of piracy is the unauthorized use or reproduction of another person's work. Not all of the music on streaming services is authorized. There are people out there, some who might not know better, and some who are definitely bad faith actors, who take the unreleased music of established artists, or even unestablished artists, and farm that for streaming revenue. Don't believe me? Let's take a look. If you recognize the posters behind me, then you know I'm a big Frank Ocean fan. Some of my favorite Frank songs are unofficially released. Wise Man, which was originally recorded for Quentin Tarantino's movie Django Unchained, but even though Quentin loved it, he never found a scene to use it in the movie. So because of that, it never saw an official release. However, it's been floating around on the internet for over a decade. And if you listen to it and think it sounds familiar, Drake actually sampled it on Virginia Beach, which is the intro to For All the Dogs. So somehow Virginia Beach can get cleared, but they can't give Wise Man an official release? Why am I being tortured like this? Frank Ocean also has a collection of leaks from very early on in his career that people refer to on the internet as the Lonnie Bro Collection, which is his original government name. It had some popularity in the early 2010s when he first started to pop off. Frank never released these songs or even publicly claimed them at all. However, I used to listen to them back in the day when there really wasn't that much Frank Ocean music on the internet. So when I was hanging out with my girlfriend the other day and she was playing through her Discover Weekly, she played something that sounded really familiar to me. I knew it as Miss You So, but on Spotify it wasn't by Frank Ocean. It was by Rallin and AZ, and it had a Sonic themed cover art for some reason. What the fuck is going on? I started digging on these two artists' pages and it got even weirder. The artist Rallin's bio says, Rallin's repertoire spans globally recognized content, with each creation meticulously crafted by our dedicated producers and talented vocalists. We ensure strict adherence to all relevant laws in the production process. The production process, by the way, is clearly YouTube to MP3. Emphasizing our commitment to originality, every piece of content is developed entirely from scratch, with no samples utilized in the creative process. What? I mean, this isn't even true, but without that, that's still such like a guilty sounding bio to have. I've never seen an artist be like, this is my work, these are my songs, I promise, in the bio. And it's totally untrue. The song they have uploaded is literally the original Frank Ocean demo. AZ, the other artist, in their bio it says they're a renowned cover artist. And on their page, there is a second version of Miss You So, where it's clearly somebody else singing. That might be AZ. So this led me to a playlist from their Discovered On section called Frank Ocean Unreleased. And in there, I found the original version of Wise Man as well, and it's credited to an artist named Ocean Ocean. So I went over to Ocean Ocean's page, and I clicked on their bio, and it says they're a band from Indonesia. There are 3 songs on the page. The other 2 songs definitely sound like they could be from a random band in Indonesia. However, the third one is just Wise Man. Either they uploaded Wise Man to their page to make some money, or, and this is honestly much more likely, somebody else uploaded it as Ocean Ocean and Spotify put it onto the same page. This probably doesn't sound like a big deal, right? It's kind of weird, but whatever. People just want to listen to these unreleased songs. And why not do it on the same app they're listening to the rest of their music on? Sure, you can always download local files and add them to your DSP, but many younger people who didn't grow up in the iPod era honestly have no idea how to do that, and I can't really blame them. If it's already on the platform under a different name, then why go through all that trouble? There could be a huge problem here though. Artists get paid when their songs get streamed on DSPs, or more accurately, whoever uploaded the song gets paid. So the people who uploaded these songs are generating money from them. The version of Miss You So has 11 million plays. That's like $52,000 in revenue just from Spotify, not counting any of the other DSPs that these songs might be on. And to be clear, that random band Ocean Ocean, like the Indonesian band, unless they were the ones who actually uploaded it, they're probably not the ones getting paid. It's just some faceless person on the internet. There was also an infamous page called Blonde Dead that had a ton of unreleased Frank Ocean. These pages come and go and they're often flagged, but that doesn't mean people can't reap the revenue as long as it stays up long enough. To really analyze how bad this problem can be, let's look at another artist, HADJI. I had never really listened to his music too much, but I saw this one TikTok from an account that I love, and it used one of his older songs, I Wait For You, in it. I can't play the audio, so it might be hard to see why this is funny, but I promise it's funny. Anyway, I went to go find that song, and I realized it wasn't on the official HADJI Spotify, but it's actually on another page called Alex_G_offline. So the song itself is originally from a 2011 EP called Easy that was available for free on HADJI's official Bandcamp. However, he never put it on Spotify or any other streaming service once that became the norm for listening to music. In a Reddit AMA, somebody asked him about people listening to his unreleased music, and he said his music that's unreleased stays unreleased because he doesn't like it. But as long as people know that he's not co-signing it necessarily, he's cool with people listening to it. Is he cool with them generating hundreds of thousands thousands of dollars off of it though? The Alex G offline Spotify page only has 4 songs on it right now, but those 4 songs have generated over 100 million streams. According to a Spotify royalties calculator, these songs have generated over $250,000 just from Spotify alone. Alex G has had a huge popularity boost from TikTok, with both his released and unreleased music gaining steam. I Wait For You, the song that I found on there, has over 250,000 videos made to it. So after I started working on this script, my CIA agent must have been listening in on me because they placed a great video on my YouTube front page called The Dark Side of Alex G's Unreleased by Surreal. In that video, they talk about the Alex G offline account, and the person running that account apparently claims that they're not taking any of the money from it. However, nobody has any proof that that's actually true. Sounds unbelievably sus. But yeah, you can go watch that video for more information. It's a really great video. I'll link it in the description. People in that video's comments, and also in Alex G's Reddit, tell me that the predominant guess is that Alex G or his label must have some sort of deal with this person so that they can get the revenue. I have a really hard time believing that his songs are out there generating that much money and he's not doing something about it, especially because recently in the past week he just announced he signed to RCA, and there is no way that a major label is going to let that happen. But there's really no way to know because Alex G hasn't said anything about it publicly, and people in the past have said that other Alex G unreleased Spotify pages have come down and this one has stayed up, which kind of makes you think that there might be some kind of deal in place. But the point stands. We've seen how much money can be generated off someone else's unreleased song, and nobody is even promoting it anywhere necessarily. It's just doing that on the internet kind of like by itself. Alex G doesn't even want to acknowledge these songs, and yet here they are making $250,000. Think about all the Playboi Carti leaks that people have snuck onto Spotify before. People have probably made like their own salary for the year off other people streaming Playboi Carti leaks. It's crazy to think about. So the point is, look how lucrative it can be to take someone else's unreleased music, put it on DistroKid, and then reap the rewards. The process to stop this from happening is supposed to have a couple different checkpoints. First, the distributors that put the music on Spotify, like DistroKid, are supposed to listen and check to see if it contains any copyrighted content from somebody else's work, or at least that the song belongs to the person who's uploading it, or that they have permission to do so. However, you don't expect me to believe that somebody at DistroKid or at any of these other distributors are actually sitting there and listening to every song that gets uploaded, right? There's no way. Spotify sees 60,000 new songs every day. There is no chance that a human is sifting through all that. It must be an automated process, which explains why some songs with samples get caught, but others don't. But the bigger issue stands. If these songs were never uploaded to Spotify by the original artist in the first place, then how is there supposed to be any copyright information on them to stop that from happening? How would the distributor even know that it belongs to that artist? The next step would be, after the song is already uploaded, the artist or the label or whoever issues a takedown request, but the big issue is that they have to find it. It's like a needle in a haystack kind of thing. And once you find the song, you have to actually prove that it's yours. That should be easy, right? You might be surprised. You see, this doesn't only happen to big artists. Believe it or not, it happens to people just like you and me. And it actually literally kind of happened to me. But let's hold off on that story for a sec. Last week, the New York Times ran an article about a band called Bad Dog. Haven't heard of them before? That's not particularly surprising. David Post and Craig Blackwell are 2 professional lawyers who make music together for fun. They made an album called The Jukebox of Regret, and they were going to make CDs of it and give them out at a dinner party. They had uploaded it on SoundCloud, but not anywhere else. So when the producer of the songs went to share one of his works onto his Instagram story, he saw that it was automatically tagged as something else. The song was tagged as Drunk the Wine, which is not the original song title, by an artist named Vinay Jong. This artist had no other music posted. Several other songs from the album were uploaded as different random artists as well. It got even worse when the band went to print the CDs. The CD manufacturer company, because of the metadata that was uploaded by these fake accounts, were like, hey, we can't prove that you actually own this music. I mean, they're lawyers, so it's not surprising that they eventually managed to figure it out, but the damage was already done. You're probably wondering, like, what's the end game of uploading a random person's music onto Spotify? These songs had actually generated over 60,000 streams before people figured it out, which is about $250. It's not Alex G money, but it's not nothing either. There has been much said already on YouTube about faking streams. I really like this one video by Maddie Balls. I'll link that in the description as well. But basically, if someone has the means to generate some fake streams, then you can turn a profit by uploading other people's music. People used to do it with white noise and random spam kind of stuff, but Spotify announced this year that they were starting to crack down on it. So if I had to guess, the pirates are like, hey, we can still do this, we just need the music to sound like real music. So why not just trudge around on SoundCloud until you find some stuff on there that hasn't been uploaded and then steal that? And like I said before, someone has actually tried to hack my music to try to get my money from streaming services. In 2021, I had switched distributors for my new music, but I still had a bunch of my music on this other distributor. I never really logged in because they were automatically paying me every month. But I went to log in one day and I realized that it wasn't letting me, and it said my email had been changed. So I emailed the company and said, hey, I can't get into my account. Can I reset my password? And when I did that, they told me that the email on the account had been changed to something called adelitosupport.cp@gmail.com. Who the fuck is that? So I emailed my distributor and was like, hey, that's not me. And they said they couldn't change it unless the person who made the changes approved it. So I had my old manager reach out to his contact at the company and they managed to get it straightened out. But once I got into the account, I realized that someone had gone into my songs and changed the metadata to a guy named Nicolarl Evansy, so that he could start taking the payouts from the songs and claim that the songs were his. If you search that name now, you see a blank profile, but I remember 3 years ago when I did that, he had like one song uploaded and it was kind of like some classical music instrumental thing. Weird. Thankfully, I caught this before any payouts were sent out, so I didn't miss any money, but I know what it's like to have your music squeezed for money on streaming services. Streaming has done great things for me, both as a listener and as a musician. As a listener, I found countless awesome songs from Spotify auto-playing them after whatever I was listening to or like Discover Weekly. I also love being able to follow artists so that I get a constant update whenever they drop music. And as a musician, the algorithmic support that Spotify has given me basically started my career. Nobody was listening to me until I dropped this song called HADJI in 2018, and it got picked up by an editorial playlist, but then after that, it started showing up in a ton of people's Discover Weeklies. That basically started my career. I would be a hypocrite to say that algorithms and streaming services suck when I've gotten 3 million streams from algorithms just by myself. I'm not alone in this. Plenty of artists have been blessed by the algorithm. However, even after being relatively blessed by the algorithm, and after tours, merch, and all that stuff, I still don't make a full living wage as a musician. Streaming payouts are complicated, so I won't go into it too much unless people want me to make a video about it. But yeah, it doesn't pay that much. It would be impossible for me to say that my career would be in a better place if I was in the blog era or the mixtape era or when you had to be signed, you know, like things are different. Things are always changing, and it was never particularly easy to be a musician. I didn't get into this career to get rich. I wouldn't mind it, but that's not what I'm doing it for. My point is that streaming has definitely not fully fixed the financial issues that artists like me face. And one of the biggest selling points of streaming services is that they stop piracy. But as we just seen, that's not really fully true. The pirates are just plundering in a different way. I think it's ironic that some songs are considered to be official because they're on streaming services, when there's plenty of stuff on there that's wrongly attributed or straight up stolen work. I can't blame people for wanting to hear these songs on these platforms, and if you're watching this and you're like, damn, I listened to like my favorite artist Unreleased on Spotify and it's on a different page, like I never knew I was like doing anything wrong, like don't beat yourself up about it. I mean, you don't even know necessarily that that money's going to the wrong place. But with that being said, if you want to be sure, you should just download the local files and add those to your Spotify or your Apple Music or your Tidal or whatever. You might say, well, then nobody's getting paid from those streams. And like, yeah, fair, right? That does kind of suck. But at the same time, at least someone totally different isn't getting paid from them either. If the artist really wanted it to be on streaming services, you know, unless it's like a sample issue, like, then they could just put it on there. So they should be okay with you not generating money for them when you're listening to them. The only important thing is that you're preventing some pirate from taking that money. If you really want to support artists these days, the best way to do that is to go to their shows and buy their merch. A lot of younger people are actually unfamiliar with how to download music. It sounds crazy to relative old heads like me who are in their 20s and grew up in the iPod era, right? But like, if you've never done it before, then why would you know how to do it? I saw someone in the Alex G Reddit who was legitimately asking for a guide on how to do it. I can't blame them. If you didn't grow up doing it, how would you know how to do it? It isn't the most intuitive process, and also a lot of people just straight up don't recognize the moral implications of streaming someone's unreleased music on Spotify because they probably think that money's going to them, or they just don't think about the money at all. Hopefully one day, the next generation will come up with a great solution for this. Maybe music can get uploaded that isn't monetized or something like that. I do think it's a shame that a lot of great songs exist outside of the algorithms that deliver so many of us music. Because whether you like it or not, your music taste is probably being shaped by an algorithm. That's a topic that I can maybe save for another video. But anyway, at the end of the day, we do have to be kind of careful that we're not letting some bad faith actor make money off our favorite artist's music.